So yeah, let's get into some of the news we got, Gavin. Over the week, we had the big Xbox game showcase that they had going on. So there's a lot to pick apart. What I do have, the first thing to kind of go over is just what they announced in the first place. And then we can kind of pick apart each of these individually if you want as well. So going through these, we had, of course, Halo Infinite's campaign, which we'll get into. We had a quick look at the new Forza Motorsport. So this one was interesting. This isn't the next line. It seems like a reboot, or they're going back to just calling it Forza Motorsport. That was interesting to see. There was some footage which looked, amazing. I'm not sure what point of the game that is, but it looked really dope. We had zombie multiplayer game State of Decay 3 was actually announced, but they had a CG trailer for that.
I still need to play those. I think I own both of them. Never played them.
I played through the first one. It's really cool. I think they had a lot of bugs in the second one apparently, but I think overall it was a solid experience. And I think you can play multiplayer. Like that's the whole the whole thing in the one of the sequels. But I liked it. I like the scavenging and having to build your community and kind of making sure everyone has enough stuff, and then like losing party members and they just die and that's it, and you have to figure it out from there on. I did like that. So we'll see what they change in that third one, but. So going down, we got a beautiful new fantasy nature game from Rare, Everwild. So we've seen this before, but they just kind of talked more about it, and it's interesting. Yeah. They've talked to Rare about this, and they've said that like they're still working out mechanics. So this is going to be a while from now before this comes out. Like they're still kind of figuring out what the game is.
It definitely makes me nervous that they're working out mechanics well after they've announced it. But that being said, that trailer was gorgeous. Didn't tell us anything, but it was gorgeous. Sounds like maybe rhythm, maybe an element, or music, or some sort of something like that.
Yeah, it is strange. They don't show much. It does seem like there is like a multiplayer or like a party aspect to it where you have 4 people. There always seems to be like 4 or 5 characters in one group. So at least there's that going. I guess they could use the structure of what's the C game they're doing. I guess they have the bare bones of that, like networking, that they can branch over to this gameplay. But
so is it multiplayer?
That's no, they haven't confirmed it, but that's the vibe I get because there's always like 4 or 5 characters together. It seems like there's a party element to it.
That'd be interesting. They're kind of taking the lessons they've learned from that.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
It's crazy that like just no one knows what to expect from Rare.
Yeah, that's one
Absolutely
I think.
No idea. It's nice to know that the Kinect is dead, so they can't be making more shitty Kinect games.
Right. Yeah, I'm hoping that. It seems like Xbox is giving them somewhat of a blank check with their projects, and I think that's a team you want to do that with. You want to see what they can create, and they're super ambitious, and you do want to keep the reins somewhat in, with like making sure they provide a product. But like they put out Sea of Thieves, and they kept working on content with that, so I think you can trust them to create some cool stuff.
Yeah, it does kind of blow my mind with CFC. It seems like these players are very much being drip fed new content for them. But they still eat it up. They still love it, which really blows my mind that like it just must be that much fun to play this. Is that what it is? Even though it's simple and you're not leveling up or anything like that, or you're not like gaining more powerful guns. Like, is the core gameplay that good? And if so, fucking good on them.
That's crazy. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that's the reason why they're coming back to it, because that gameplay loop is so satisfying, and that shows even more how they're experts at what they're doing over there, crafting this, this gameplay loop that keeps people in there.
Yeah, we still got to try it. So we'll get you. We'll get your nephew in there. I don't know how big a full party is supposed to be in that game.
I think it's up to you. Yeah, but like if we throw my nephew in there, that's a good just wild card to just like potentially fuck things up. That I think could add to the whole experience of like just messing up trying to cruise the ship around because somebody didn't do something.
I'm sure he'll be in there cranking 90s. Yeah. And I guess max crew size is 4.
Okay, but anything up to 4 maybe.
Reasonable. Yeah, if it's still difficult in this day and age to get 4 people together to play something, but
yeah, I don't even know 4 people, so
yeah, exactly. That's it's a big ask.
Yeah,
get all these board games, and I'm over here like, hello, darkness, my old friend.
Nice, Gavin. So let's see. Going down the list again of the other announcements, we got updates on Don't Nod's Emotionally Charged Tell Me Why, and Ori Will of the Wisps is coming to Xbox Series X. We got a new first-person fantasy RPG from Obsidian called Avowed. This one was big, right? Because this is Obsidian coming back to this like fantasy RPG kind of setting. Well, I don't know about coming back because they've done New Vegas. They had the Outer Worlds. and now this is something that's more akin to like if they were still with Bethesda, something that would be born out of that. But I'm super stoked for what they would do with Avowed.
I didn't know they were big enough to be working on multiple things at once. The fact that they're doing a DLC for the Outer Wilds
Yeah.
at the same time as making a brand new game that looks super polished, this time starting out with a bigger budget than the Outer Wilds, which was pretty ambitious, ever had. So we don't really know how big this is. Is this going to be kind of like Outer Worlds was, or where it's a smaller kind of version of that game, or is this going to be a full size? I don't fucking know. Is it going to be funny? I don't know that it'll be like Fallout humor sort of built into there. This game certainly had more humor. Is their RPG going to be serious or funny? What are they going to do with it? We'll see.
Yeah, those are good points because the trailer shows the kind of idea behind it. It doesn't give off too much, as far as like how big this world is, what the writing looks like. But it does look really cool, and the way you're casting these spells seems really interesting. And like I fully trust them to achieve this. But you're right. How big is Obsidian now? I guess you could theorize that when Microsoft purchased them, they gave them another blank check and said, figure it out, and just here you go. Because they're also working on, so there's a DLC for Outer Worlds. There's this game Avowed. There's that other one where you're shrunken down, which that one releases this week or just recently.
That's right. Yeah, it's coming out soon.
What is that game called? I want to say Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, because that's always what I think of when I see that.
It's not the most memorable name. I think I don't think it's coming out. I think it's like an alpha or a beta is coming out that you can be playing it. Obsidian.
So like, oops, I shrunk the kids again, or whoops, I did it again, something like that.
Grounded.
There you go.
Not fucking helpful. Not helpful.
I mean, it's not a terrible name, but I can't for some reason keep it in my mind. So
yeah, this does remind me of a game I was hoping would be here because it was at PlayStation, but it wasn't. Was the Deathloop. I was hoping we were going to get 2 showings of Deathloop, but
yeah, that's a good one. So let's see, going down to the other announcements, we've got As Dusk Falls, a striking-looking narrative adventure. We have a psychedelic montage from mind-melting platformer Psychonauts 2. I don't know if we got to see that gameplay they had, but it was just super trippy. I think you mentioned, because they had Jack Black. They showed him in the booth doing the voiceover, the song for that game, or for that level, rather. And I love how they're building this next one, because the fact that they go into people's minds in the game just means that anything is possible as far as like where did they decide to take the levels and all the different themes that they can achieve.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it definitely already like was possible with the last game, and this now we just have more technology, right. A bigger budget. This is going to be fucking buck wild.
Oh yeah.
Even more so.
Nice.
See how that goes.
Yeah, I'm stoked. We got Destiny 2 Beyond Light, which is the next DLC. It's going to be optimized for Series X. And I want to say they also announced the DLC for Destiny 2 is all free on Game Pass, too. That was another thing that they talked about.
That sounds correct.
Which is a pretty big deal. And we'll talk about just the whole aspect of Game Pass now as we move forward. But quick announcement of Stalker 2. They kind of showed off the trailer. I wasn't sure what they were revealing when they were initially kind of showing this. Like, it was Russian, it was post-apocalyptic. Is this, what is this? And I was thinking in the back of my mind, like, I haven't seen anything from Stalker in a while. And sure enough, it's Stalker. And was there already a Stalker 2? This is like, traditionally, this is a PC game. This is what this came out of, right? Was there already a Stalker 2 and this is a remaster? Or is this actually, there never was a sequel to Stalker?
I thought there was a sequel, but there must not have been. So it makes me wonder if maybe there was a like an expansion at one point, because there was back in the day where expansions on PC games are basically whole new games, like seriously big expansion. So I wonder if there was an expansion, and that's what I thought. I don't know if I just said this 2 seconds ago and forgot about it. I did, but I really thought this was going to be Atomic Heart when they were showing that trailer. So
I think that one was a bit more moody, right? Was that a first person game, I want to say, but that was like very fucking just in its own unique world. But I could easily see that trailer devolving into that. But yeah, apparently it was Stalker.
It's like that game is essentially Stalker meets BioShock in the weirdest way possible.
That's very true. Yeah, that's a good analogy or comparison. So we had Warhammer Darktide, a 4-player co-op shooter. Do you know much about Warhammer? I know that's a huge property, but this one didn't really, call it to me. But I don't know if you're familiar with that whole thing.
I like Warhammer 40K more than I like Warhammer. And this seems like it's going to be basically the 40K version of Vermintide, as far as we can tell. And Vermintide is fantastic. It's basically Left 4 Dead set in the Warhammer universe. Now this we don't know until we play it, but it sounds like this is going to be War or Left 4 Dead in the 40K universe. So that's going to be really exciting. They also announced, I don't know if it was today or just very recently, that even though they're going to be working on this, they're not slowing down support for Vermintide too. So just a ton of content out of these people makes me really want to go play Vermintide like right now. I should have bought it when it was on sale for like $10.
I feel like that's another Game Pass game, or at least it was at one point. But I know I've seen it and I'd passed it by, but I could be wrong. But
I don't think it's that expensive,
yeah.
but I could be wrong.
Now going down the list, we got Tetris Effect Connected. So we already have Tetris Effect, but this is adding a multiplayer aspect to it. And I guess the original Tetris Effect didn't have that when it was on PlayStation. So there's an update to the Transcendental Tetris Effect. Have you seen footage on this? Like, are you interested at all? It looks like a cool spin on that Tetris gameplay, and there's a strong like music aspect to it. And it just seems like trippy and sweet.
No, I never played Tetris 99 or Tetris Effect, and it does seem like this may be a combination of the two.
I'm not sure. 99. Yeah, I know the 99 had the Battle Royale thing, and I think this is more smaller based kind of multiplayer stuff, and that the whole multiplayer aspect to this is new because that when it was originally on PlayStation, and there was like a PSVR version too, it didn't have that multiplayer aspect to it.
Gotcha.
So let's see, we got Tetris Effect that was announced or connected. The Gunk, a science fiction cleanup adventure. What did you think of this one? This one seemed cool. I was thinking throughout the conference there wasn't like a family-friendly kind of game yet, like a Blinks or something like that, and this kind of seemed like it had that vibe to it.
Did you just pull Blinks out of your ass?
Yeah, that was a original Xbox property where you're kind of messing with time, but it was very like kid friendly, family friendly kind of game, and I just got those vibes somewhat with this because she has that cool arm and she's like sucking stuff in there. Right. I was thinking of his like little vacuum cleaner.
Well, I think you could count certainly like Everwild, Ori, maybe Avowed. I don't know, Psychonauts. But yeah, that looked gorgeous. If nothing else, it was stylized in a fantastic fashion.
Yeah.
And just looks super. I'm down. I think it looks great. Can't wait.
I agree. So now this next one gave me really strong control vibes, so I'm super stoked for it. Look at Blooper Teams, the medium, in which you play in two realities at the same time. So one thing they're really driving home about this game is that there's two different worlds levels that they're loading at the same time that you would switch back and forth. I don't know how fast, but that's their whole kind of marketing scheme with this game is that there's
I don't even know that you're switching. I don't think you're switching. I think that's the deal. I think you literally have the screen split in half and you're playing in both worlds at the exact same time.
Gotcha. Now I wonder though, with like puzzle aspects, are you seeing both worlds at the same time, or they play with the fact that at one point you can see one world, you have to kind of guess, and then you just flip back? Is it all under your control, or does the game decide when it goes back and forth, or exactly like you're saying, like you're seeing both levels at the same time? Either way, it looks pretty nuts.
Sure. I mean, I imagine in cutscenes it might, switch to one or the other. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's during gameplay. You're just locked in. I'm looking at a little bit of footage right now, and it is interesting how there's slight, like their animations aren't exactly 1-to-1, and I'd be curious kind of why that is. It's also going to be a massive pain in the ass. Okay, so. Gotcha. So one character here switches to first person so they can sort of analyze a cabinet. And they just found a very Resident Evil style switch behind something. So yeah, maybe it does kind of switch specifically to one for instances.
There's times where you can see both worlds in one screen.
Yeah, which is hard. I mean, that not only is that hard just due to like keeping all the shit loaded, but it's also hard because that's a lot to be rendering at once. Whoa. So one character is turning back a clock, and that's rewinding time, and the other... Wow. Yeah, this is the problem. When I was watching this conference, I was working, so I couldn't really pay attention.
Gotcha.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think there were some other kind of breakdowns that I was reading over the weekend the fact that like we're seeing this kind of tech now because of SSDs, because of like just overall like hardware advancements. Like I think devs can now count on people having just like a base level, either PC or console, that they can now use like this extra RAM, this extra or faster hard drive speed to create stuff like this. Like this can become the norm now. We've seen it in levels, like we just played through Titanfall. There's that level where you can switch back and forth, and that's just one level though. There's another game that did that recently. Dishonored 2 had that, but for one level. And this seems like the whole game is built on that whole scheme.
Yeah. No, it looks super interesting. It's one of those. Yeah, if it gets good enough, I'll definitely jump in on this. Just give it a check out. So I'm glad people are still being willing to put some sort of budget behind something so experimental. That's for sure.
I agree. So we got the next one here. I don't know much about this, but Sega showed off Phantasy Star Online 2, New Genesis. I've always heard about this property, but yeah, do you know very much about what's going on there?
It's popular. I could give a shit.
Yeah,
but
same here.
not because it's popular. I just could give a shit. But people love it. People are going to play it. I don't think this is new. I think this game already exists. It's just coming to Xbox Series X. I could be wrong in that, but I don't think I am.
Yeah, no, I agree. We'll see. People love it. That's for them. Cool. We also had a military shooter Crossfire X campaign will be out this year, and it's being done by Remedy. What do you think about this? Did you watch some of the footage? This seems really cool. Anything Remedy does, really, I'm on board for.
It's weird seeing like Remedy making now. I guess Control was more of a pure shooter, but like, really was it though? No, it's fucking weird and
Right.
crazy. So this seems it's definitely neat to see them doing something closer to a more traditional shooter. But that being said, Remedy still going to Remedy. So I'm sure it'll be great. Have they? I mean, even their like not that great stuff is still pretty good.
Yeah.
Alan Wake 1, I hear, is pretty good. It may not be fun, but it's pretty good.
Yep, same with Quantum Break. I've heard that it was overall, a good experience, and they're doing really cool stuff where they're trying to mend the whole TV show, like live action TV show with the gameplay. Like that was the whole thing. They just really try and take chances, and this seems more like a Call of Duty campaign. But if they're adding their, Remedy spin of being unique about it, and then having this, I don't know if they're using the engine that was already with Crossfire. I don't know much about Crossfire, or if they're using their own engine for this. But either way, it looks beautiful.
Yeah, I'd be curious there. I don't know who's making Crossfire X's multiplayer.
Yeah, and I guess they'd have to use the bones of that. They can just, put their own in there. But yeah, I just don't know much yet. But it's coming out this year, apparently. So we'll get to find out soon.
Hey. There we go.
Now, this last one here is, this was the big, cool Easter egg at the end, or just like one more thing announcement, but it's Fable. We're getting a Fable story-based or storybook fantasy game. Fable is being revived by British studio Playground Games. How do you feel about the Fable franchise? Was this one of the big, exciting moments for you, or how do you feel about them bringing back Fable?
I don't replay games hardly ever, and I've replayed Fable 1 3 or 4 times now. And again, I don't replay games, so it's just that the gameplay is so nice, the story is so just light and fluffy. It's really fucking delightful, and they sort of lost some things. Like, it really annoyed me in like Fable 2 and 3, where like your customization just wasn't there. And maybe that's not fair. Maybe I need to go back and replay those games. But I felt like the RPG mechanics of the way you played wasn't there as much as it was in this one, in the original. So hopefully they kind of take some of the good stuff of the first Fables. But yeah, so hopefully they take the best stuff from Fable, keep the humor, keep the whole interacting with, we're in a world where you could go even bigger with the Fable. Like, all that bullshit Peter Molyneux is spouting with the original Fable where you plant a fucking tree.
Right.
I think you'd do that really right now. It wouldn't be that, we got Watch Dogs coming out, about to flip the whole world on its head with its crazy mechanics. So who knows what they'll do with this? Probably not planting a tree. That's a dumb thing to do. But I'm glad it's back. I'm glad it's not dead. I still wish the last Fable game would have came out, the one where it was going to be like 3-player versus somebody who's the evil overlord. That sounded like it would have been fun in the Fable universe. Yeah, I hope it's good. I'll give it a shot. I will give it an honest to God shot. It's weird that it's being made by a racing game studio. I guess Playground Games. I think they worked on, what did they work on?
Yeah, they do Forza, the whole Forza
Yeah,
series does
Forza.
that.
So you got these. So you know this game's gonna at least run at 60 frames per second.
At
Uh,
breakneck speeds, yeah.
right, and that's a weird thing too. Like rendering a racing game is I feel like it's very different to make a racing game pretty compared to a
Right.
more traditional action RPG. So hopefully, if nothing else, maybe it's gonna have absolutely gorgeous looking levels. Um, but
Yeah, no, I was when I saw this announcement, I was excited for people that are Fable fans because I know it's a huge property. It's been demanded
did you
for
never
so
play?
long. I did. I played the original on the original Xbox when I got it as a kid, and I liked it. But I even remember being a kid and understanding that they're really promising a lot with the whole like being able to choose your character's destiny and how you become either a good guy, a bad guy, and that like changes the visual aspects of your character. Where if you become more evil, you have the scars, you have like the gross aspects of you versus like if you're a more positive character. I like that, but even then, I just felt like there wasn't much really there. Like you have the cool like cosmetic stuff that changes and people kind of like run away from you, the townspeople. I just wanted more. And so really now would be the time to do it where you could fully flesh out those options. That's what I'm hoping they do. It's not just those two, versions of the character. Like maybe there's more grayness or they just fully flesh out those features of what aspects your character takes on when you make your decisions. But I don't know, the writing's always cool. It's a cool, English kind of dry humor stuff, which I dug. And other than that, it just never called out to me after playing that first one. But I know people love it.
Yeah, yeah. So hopefully it will. Maybe that should be my next game I replay through is Fable 2 and 3. Actually give them a proper shot. I know 3 had a cool element of like this whole time you're trying to dethrone the king
Hmm.
because you don't believe in their decisions, and then you become the king and you have to make shitty decisions because there's not enough money and resources to go around to save the kingdom.
Yeah.
So it's like the thing you fought against is now you're that thing.
That's pretty cool. I do respect that, and if they could explore that more, just the grayness and of reality, like I really dig that idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. People are loving it. I'm excited for them.